I am so excited to bring this video today. This video is going to be about teaching you how to build your own mobile office out of the back of your car. Imagine being able to print loan docs anywhere, anytime. You get a ting for a notification saying, I have a signing done in 30 minutes. You can print right out of the back of your car. If one of your escrow officers says, oh my gosh, I forgot to send you something in the loan doc package, can you print this? The answer is yes, once you complete your own mobile office. Today's video is going to teach you how to set up your own mobile office directly from the back seat of your car. And here to show you exactly how to do it is loan signing system student Connor. Thank you so much for being here, man.
You got it.
So the cool thing about Connor is he's an engineer by trade. He's a full-time engineer. He became a loan signing system student about 30 days ago, and in his first 30 days, he did 30 signings. Yep. And he realized that I have to be able to print my docs, right out of my car so I can get to the appointment straight from work. So, Connor, I mean, you built this out of necessity, right?
Exactly.
So, are you literally printing all of your docs right out of the back of your car?
So once I moved to my car, it just became easier to print out of the car. I can get a signing, I can get an order 30 minutes prior and go straight there, print out right in front of the door of the signer, and it's been much easier ever since.
This is awesome. So we're out here in San Diego. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to show you exactly how to set up a mobile office. And once again, if you're watching this for the first time, imagine being able to print docs the moment you get a notification. You don't need to run back to your office, run back to your home office, run to the escrow office. And that's
exactly.
If you're doing signing service business. What I want you to imagine too, now let's say you're doing direct business, because Connor, your next step is going direct, right? Which I teach you guys. Imagine doing a direct business and your escrow officer calls you and says, hey, I forgot a piece of paper, I forgot a quick claim deed, a warranty deed. Can you print this out real quick? 9 out of 10 signing agents will say, I can't print that out. Or let me see if the borrower has a printer. How unprofessional is that? Imagine being like, yes, I can print that quick claim deed out.
Exactly.
Bada boom, walk through back of the car. So today is going to be so amazing. I'm so excited about you, Connor. And like I said, Connor built this out of necessity. He's an engineer. So we're going to get an engineer's point of view of how to design your own mobile office. Now, there are 2 different types of mobile offices. Let me back that up. There's 2 types of mobile offices you can design. You can design one mobile office where you're generating the power from the actual battery the car has in your trunk, or there's another way of building a mobile office, which is basically having an external battery in the trunk of your car. And I'm going to show you both ways today. So have I missed anything about the importance of having a mobile office, or are we just excited to get right into this?
I think you covered everything.
Awesome. So this next segment is going to be exactly how to set up your mobile office. So we're now going to show you exactly how to build your own mobile office using an external battery. What do I mean by that? You're actually going to have a battery that's outside of the hood of your car. Obviously, your car has a battery. We're not going to show you in this segment how to build a mobile office using that, but actually an external battery. So what I want to talk to Connor about is the pros and cons of having an office not using the battery that's already installed under the hood of your car. So with that being said, Connor, if I'm missing anything, please chime in.
Absolutely.
So the first pro, let's go with the pros of having what I would call a trunk office, right? Utilizing the trunk of your car with your mobile office in it. So the pros of it is you don't need that much technical know-how, right? We're going to show you right now how easy it is to get an external battery. So you don't need much technical know-how to do it out of the trunk of your car. Another pro is it's a really kind of affordable, right? It's a super phone. We'll go over all prices, and just for the record, everything you're going to see in about a couple minutes, we're going to have links to every single one down below. Everything I bought today and we're going to use in this video, we got from Amazon.com. It is literally that easy. So I have notes to make sure I didn't forget anything else. Another pro is making sure you understand that. Let me go to the cons, because the pros is how easy it is. The cons is because you're using an external battery. You have to recharge the battery every single night. So you have to buy a recharger machine, which we'll show you which one to buy. But you actually have to then take the battery from the trunk of your car, haul it into the house every single night, and recharge it. If you forget to recharge it, you're kind of up creek the next day. So the biggest con is understanding that you need to charge it every night. And probably the third con would be you're going to have a loose external battery in your car, so you have to figure out how to lock it down. You have to figure out how to keep it stable. And so, that kind of leads me to another point. I want to make a quick disclaimer here. Connor and I are just doing the best we can to help you build a mobile office. So with that being said, I want to make sure you understand you got to check your car warranties. You got to make sure you understand that, you know, if your battery tips over, it's under your responsibility to lock your batteries down. We're just going to do our favor to the signing agent community or just the mobile office community of teaching you how to build your own mobile office. So, you know, with that quick disclaimer, I want to go back to the battery. The battery could tip over. It is a positively charged battery. Now, the odds of that are slim to none unless you're like taking turns at like 90 miles per hour. But you could be late to a signing. I get it. But in all seriousness, you know, it's my job and our job to make sure we're explaining the cons of this mobile setup. So the battery is a live battery. And so if it tips over, that's not good. And so you want to make sure you design a way to make sure your battery is actually kind of locked in and stable, and we're going to show you ways that we can do it today. But it is your responsibility if you decide to do a trunk version to make sure your battery is nice and locked in so it doesn't roam around when you're taking turns or whatnot. So those are the pros and the cons. Did I miss anything?
I think you got it.
Okay, awesome. So we're now going to show you exactly how to set up your mobile office in the trunk of your car with an external car battery. So we're now going to talk about the actual supplies you need. Remember, every single thing I'm about to go over, there will be a link down below to the Amazon where about everything you see here off of Amazon, including the mobile printer. So your first thing you're probably wondering right now, my guess is how much does everything cost? So what you need, I got my notes here just to make sure I'm on the same page. So the first thing you need is a 100 amp battery. And he's going to go over the specifications in a moment. But to be specific with you, that is $165. The next thing you need is an external battery charger. Remember, the con of this setup is you got to recharge this battery every single night. And what you need on that is an external charger battery, which is here, and that is $45. The next thing you need is an inverter. What is an inverter? An inverter takes the power from the battery and turns it into power that you can actually plug in your portable printer with. So it inverts the electricity or power from the car battery to the actual electricity the printer needs to run off of. That is the most expensive, which is $160, or about the same price as the battery. And then after that, all you need is a printer. Now, the printer that I have here is a printer that I recommend to all of my loan signing system students. The signing agent printer I recommend is a dual tray Brother printer HL L5200, which is right here. This is literally not a special car printer. This is the exact printer I have in my office, and I use the exact printer that Connor uses to print the 30 signings that he had last month in his first month, by the way. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So the total cost of this external printer printing setup is $370. That's it. If you're getting direct business, that's basically 2 signings. Like, how awesome is that? And then you can bring docs out of the back of your car whenever you want. Now, the dual tray printer that I recommend is $207. So you're roughly about $600 to $700 out the door, including the printer. But if you have the printer, don't worry about it. Now, Connor's going to go into detail exactly what each product is, how you use it, and the specification, so you understand a little bit better about how to set up your mobile office. Connor?
Sure. So the first thing you're going to need is a battery. This is a 100 amp hour battery. You don't want to go anything smaller than that. This will ensure that you can charge, that you can print multiple times throughout the day. It also needs to be a deep cycle battery, specifically designated for an RV. You can see that it's a deep cycle.
And why is it important for a deep cycle?
So deep cycle, if you use a regular car battery, the problem is they're not meant to be discharged and recharged all the way multiple times. It's bad for the battery. And you'll wear out that battery very fast. So this is a deep cycle battery. It's meant for the specific purpose we're using it for today. It's much safer, and it's going to last a lot longer if you buy this specific kind.
I'm going to jump in real quick. I think it's a very important tip. Is, you know, maybe you have an extra battery laying around the garage. Maybe you have an old car you want to pull the battery out of. Don't use it because it's not meant to be charged, depleted, charged, depleted.
Right.
It may do a few cycles, but you might be printing set of 5. And you're like, how come my battery's dead? I charged it last night.
Right.
Because it's not meant to be charged, recharged. So it's a very good. Everyone picked up on that. Once again, all these links are in the content below for you in the description. So when you buy this, this is literally what you're going to get. You see here is what you're going to get. Nothing else comes with it. What you get: the negative, positive, cable charger, plastic covers. That's not very technical.
Well, so these are just for safety. So these are the covers for the terminals. You can see here, it's very simple. We just have a bolt. You would want to unscrew these, and this is where you connect the wires for the inverter. That's about it. All it comes with are these rubber covers right here for safety, the bolts to connect the wires, and then the battery itself.
And we're going to go into exactly how to set it up. We're doing the supply list now, what you're looking for. Okay, cool. So moving on from here, let's talk about the next thing, product that you have.
Sure. So right here we have a battery charger. So because we're going with an external setup, the battery is going to need to be charged every night. This one is a great find. So this is a rapid charge 15 amp battery, meaning that to charge a 100 amp hour battery, that's 100 divided by 15, it's going to be about 6 hours to fully charge this guy, meaning that you can actually completely recharge the battery in one night. So this is a simple setup. It just plugs into the outlet in your house, and then 2 clamps plug onto the battery.
Did you hear that engineering right there? If you take 100 by 15, that's 6 hours. I was thinking the same
Yes.
thing, man. So once again, you can charge this overnight. This plugs into your wall in your garage or whatnot. But once again, the only con of this, what I think the only con is, you have to actually lift this out of your car. Just for a record,
Right. It's pretty heavy. You need to be strong enough to lift 80 pounds,
yes,
maybe 60.
Yes.
It's a heavy battery.
It's a heavy battery. So let's talk about it real quick. Because it's so heavy, the odds of it tipping over is kind of slim to none, but that
Right.
doesn't mean that I don't want to put the disclaimer out there that you should lock it in. But this thing really isn't going to slide around your trunk like a bag of groceries. This is 80 pounds. But once again, the charger charges this. You need to remove this or charge that. Or if you have an extension cord, you can put the extension cord, plug that in, just plug this in here, whatever's easiest, but it doesn't need to be recharged. Now, what is the next item that they need to have?
Okay, so this is our final and last item. This baby is a 2,000 watts or 2 kilowatt inverter. So pretty simple. This is a pure sine wave inverter. That is the most important part. And also that it meets the power requirements of the printer. So this Brother printer and almost all laser printers run at about 14 to 1500 watts. So you need to make sure your inverter, if you don't go with this one, covers that much power. So this is a 2,000 watt. So we have plenty of power, and it's a pure sine wave inverter. It comes with the inverter itself, the cables to connect the inverter to the battery, and then a controller to turn on and off the inverter, and then the cable to connect the controller to the inverter.
Okay, so one more time. So just really
Sure.
quickly for the video, the inverter is $160. The battery and the inverter are about the same price. There's a few things I want to touch base on. Once again, your engineering background is really awesome for this video. You know, what he said is your inverter has to be more watts than your laser printer is producing.
Exactly.
So the watt is 2,000, but the printer is 1,500. Which brings me to another point. You know, we have a lot of students saying, well, Mark, and I think you saw this on the Facebook group, and our community is really awesome. And so everyone's chiming in with their questions. And a lot of people say, what about those cigarette lighters that have the, 3 prongs you can plug in whatever to? So explain why, because I know some people are like, well, why do I need an inverter? It's been $160. And I go to Walmart or Amazon and buy a cigarette lighter that turns into a plug. How come that won't work for your...
Well, so there's a number of reasons. I think the most important is regarding the safety of all of it. So your cigarette lighter outlet is a 12-volt outlet, normally connected to a 30-amp fuse. It's not designed to produce more than 300 watts of power. So even if it doesn't blow the fuse, the amount of energy you're going to demand out of that outlet can melt wires, can cause a fire. It's not meant to support the enormous amount of power that your printer uses when it prints.
So it's designed to do an output of about 300 watts.
Right. That's the rule of thumb for like in the car community.
Right.
You definitely don't want to draw any more power than that from just the wires going to the outlet itself are much smaller than what we have here, which are thick and designed for the amount of power the inverter is supposed to produce.
Well, and I think what's great too is understanding, and once again, we always like to really get granular here at the loan signing system where I'm teaching you how to do a signing or getting business or doing a mobile office. It's really granular. I like to get in there so you really understand it. And what I want to make sure they understand is, the outlet of the car is designed for 300 watts, but you need 1,500 watts to run your printer, any laser printer.
Right.
So you have 300 trying to power 1,500. That should tell you right off the gate that the electric lighter or the cigarette lighter in your car isn't a good move. So that is why designing an external mobile office like this is the best bet, so you continuously print every single time you're out there on the field. So look, I mean, it's that simple. Just to recap, thank you. Your engineering background is unbelievably awesome, by the way. So you have an external battery. Remember, this is meant to be charged and depleted, You have your charger, which will actually take 6 hours to charge this battery. And then you have the inverter, which transfers the energy from the battery, which you'll need to do into your printer. And once again, before we show you exactly how to connect everything, which we're going to do step by step next, I want to make sure you understand that, I recommend the Brother, but any laser printer will work. Always make sure it's dual tray. If you're watching this for the first time, you haven't seen any of my other YouTube videos, make sure you understand you want dual tray, laser, not inkjet. And so they have dual trays, meaning one prints letter, one prints legal. That's what dual trays is, in case you don't know what that is. But now I'm excited to actually show you how to put this all together. When I say I actually mean Connor. So let's do that now. So we're going to show you exactly how to install your very own mobile office. The only tool you need is
Household wrench.
Household wrench. We all have that. Literally, it's that easy. Everything you see right here comes out of the box. So everything that you see in this shot comes out of the box. There's nothing else you need but a wrench. I'm going to give the wrench to the man himself, and he's going to walk through exactly how to set up your mobile office.
All right, thanks, Mark. So the very first thing you want to do is connect the wires to the inverter, not the other way around. If you connect the wires to the battery first, now you have two wires that are live, meaning that they have voltage applied to them, and if they touch, that could be a safety hazard.
So one more time, you do not want to set up the battery cables first.
No.
You want to set up the inverter cable first. Very, very important to understand. Okay, now take it off from there.
Okay, you got it. So once we have that straight, so we're going to connect this wire to the inverter. As you can see here, there are two sizes. We have a large eyelet and a small eyelet. The small is the side that goes to the inverter. So it looks like I already took this off, but on each inverter terminal, we're going to have a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. So you can just take all three off, unscrew the nut, and pull off these two washers. And again, the smaller hold eyelet just slips on to the terminal like that. So we have copper touching copper, perfect. And then the flat washer goes on first. Then we have the lock washer. And then we can just screw the nut on and tighten it with our household wrench. And it's as easy as that. So I'm going to tighten it right now. You don't need to tighten it any more than necessary to flatten this lock washer right here. So I'm just going to tighten it a few turns.
That's funny, I'm learning something new today. I think everyone that has those flat washers, you only make it as tight as a flat washer needs to get to be level, straight.
Exactly. So just keep going.
Remember, as he's doing this, I think it's very important to understand you always put the wires to the inverter first, not the charged battery. So you do exactly how he's showing you, and everything's going to be safe and sound. Once again, a disclaimer, if you don't feel comfortable with this, make sure you hire somebody. We're doing our best to give you a DIY approach, but do whatever's safest for you and your car, and make sure that you're understanding that you are dealing with a live battery to the left.
Exactly. As you can see here, so that lock washer has flattened out. It's really tight and secure. So now it's the exact same setup with black wire. Remember, black on black, red on red, of course. So this is our ground wire. It's got the same two size holes right here. We're going to use the small hole. So you can see same setup, nut, lock washer, flat washer. We're going to take both off. Perfect. Now we slide the small eyelet on. Flat washer, lock washer, both go back on. And then, perfect, nut just slides right back on. And then I'm going to tighten that with the same wrench.
The household wrench.
Household wrench.
This is awesome. You can do it tight yourself.
Your common household wrench.
That's
Anyone,
right.
Everyone's got it. If you don't, you can buy these almost anywhere. So this gets the job done just fine. Just a few turns. You can see that lock washer flattening as I tighten it.
This is literally easy peasy. Inverter first, just connecting the cables to the actual inverter. The cables are eventually going to get connected to the battery. Again, you don't want these having any electricity to it, so that's why it's doing the inverter first. But once again, at home, make sure you're doing this safe. Make sure you're safe. Make sure if you don't feel comfortable, ask someone who is. Doing our best to give you a DIY approach. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Next step on this.
Okay, so next step is our controller. This is the on and off switch to the inverter. So when the inverter is off, it's not drawing power from the battery. When you want to print, you need to turn the inverter on, and then it will start. It will allow it to draw power from the battery.
So that's the on and off. This is essentially the on and off switch for your inverter.
Exactly.
Versus an on and off switch that's sitting somewhere on there, like like the printer. This is an external on and off switch, which is very important. This is how you turn on and off. So he's going to connect the switch right now.
Perfect. So simple. We have these two connectors on this wire. Comes with the inverter. It just plugs into the front. Let's see, right there, like that, just right above the 3 outlets. And then the other end is going to go into the controller just like that. So once it's clicked in, you're all good to go and can put the controller where you want to be able to turn on and off the inverter. So we'll set that here.
Okay, so inverter is completely set up.
Yep.
Easy peasy. Now we're going to step number 2.
Okay, so step number 2, we need power going to this inverter. So we're going to connect the cables to the battery. And so this battery right here comes with the terminals. This is our negative terminal. Not only does it have a black rubber safety cover on it, but it also has a negative symbol imprinted on the plastic right next to it. Same with the positive. It's important that you get the polarity correct. You don't want to mix these up. So we have red, positive, comes with the red cover. Crucial you don't mix those up. So first we're going to ground the device. So I'm
Why
taking...
is it important to ground the device?
It's just a good common practice to make sure that this is grounded. We have a hot here, if this was connected to the positive and this device was grounded through another means, it could blow a fuse or it could damage the device. It's always good to ground first.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll make sure you get that out on camera. So ground first.
Same deal on the battery terminals as the inverter terminal. So we have a bolt, we have a lock washer, flat washer, and a nut right here. So we're going to start with the ground first. So we have these covers right here. Very important that you notice which terminal you're using. All batteries are going to have several indicators. We have a black cover that the battery came with. We have a negative marking right here, and we have a black base. For the positive, we have a red base. We have a plus sign for positive, and it comes with a red cover for it. So to connect this, for safety, we want to make sure that our ground and positive, the terminals are protected and covered. So we're going to feed the wire through this cover right here, just like that. So just like that, feed it through. And then I've already pre-taken off the washer, both washers and the nut. So I'm going to slide the eyelet on the end of this wire onto the terminal.
While he's doing that, I want to remind you that, the smaller eyelet got plugged into the inverter, the larger eyelet got plugged into the battery itself. So if you find that the eyelet isn't fitting, it's maybe because you put it backwards. So make sure you remember you put the larger eyelet to the battery, the smaller eyelet to the inverter itself. Remember, these cables come with the inverter. If you use the link down below, you're going to get the cables, so you don't need to buy them extra. They come with the inverter when you get the package in. Okay, so
exact same procedure here. So I hand tighten the nut. This can now be tightened with the household wrench. I'm going to just hold this tight with my hand as I flatten that lock washer by tightening this nut. Now, if this is too hard to hold tight with your hand, you could also use a second wrench too.
It looks like you're getting that done pretty easy with one hand, so that's perfect. You don't need to over tighten, just making sure that flat washer turns flat.
Exactly. And now that we have that on, we can slide this cover.
I think why it's important to have the cover there is in case this 80-pound battery actually tips over, you're not having a charge to a charge.
It's important, especially that this positive is covered. If this battery were to tip over and touch any piece of metal in the car, generally exposed metal in your car is grounded. And that would mean we have a positive touching a negative, which could create a spark. So definitely my recommendation to try and constrain the battery any way you see fit. Along with that, the positive terminal needs to be covered at all times, because if it were to touch something that's grounded, it could cause a spark.
So use the covers is what Connor is
basically
suggesting. and I think it's very good feedback. I love that you're teaching them why, and it's very, very important. So now kind of talk through this, kind of the same thing you did with the black.
Exactly.
Once again, just show them.
So once you've seen that, you could do this same deal. So now we have, to recap, we've got both connected. We have our ground connected. So once I connect this, our inverter will now have power. It won't turn on yet because we haven't used the controller, but there will be power being supplied to the inverter. So the final step is going to be taking off the other bolt. I'm going to slide this on. There could be a slight spark, so just be aware of that. It's not enough voltage to shock. The human body has enough resistance that 12 volts is not dangerous. However, just be aware.
So, what he's saying is this is a live battery, and so the live battery may have a charge to it, it may not. So the spark may or may not occur, so we'll make sure you are aware of the fact that it is. I think another important thing to point out while he's doing this, the inverter is turned off. You have not turned the inverter on. So the battery is not giving electricity or producing electricity to the inverter because you have not used the inverter on and off switch. So once again, this is a DIY approach, so we just want to make sure that we're giving you every possible outcome. But once again, it's a 12-volt battery. It's not very much, but it is a real battery. So if you're putting metal to metal on a real charge, there might be a little shock. It didn't happen in this video, but it doesn't mean it won't happen to you, but there's nothing to concern yourself again. Once again, the disclaimer, we're doing our best to give you a DIY approach. If you don't feel comfortable, please have a family friend or someone you know who might want to set it up together. But it's really, really simple. As you can see, nothing happened to Connor. But once again, this is an amazing video of an engineer here teaching you how to build your own mobile office. And while he's attaching that, I just want to quickly say, if you're a brand new signing agent, it isn't necessarily my recommendation to go out and spend $300 on a mobile printer till you get up and running. So this is not one of the things you have to have. You do have to have a dual tray printer like I recommend. But as far as setting this up, just want to make sure you know as a brand new signing agent, don't feel the pressure. This is not one of those things you have to have. This is a value add that I'm constantly trying to teach you to have. So looks like he is done. You want to talk people through the rest?
Sure. Well, we're actually done, Mark. So, so at this point, so you have everything connected. You have the wires connected to the inverter first. We have the controller connected. We have the battery connected, positive and negative. Double check that we have red on red, black on black. Perfect. So if I hit the power switch, hold it down for just a second. Perfect. Battery status, the 3 out of 4. It's just indicating the voltage. If you look here, we have 12.9 volts. That's perfect.
So, literally, it was that simple. If you watch this back a couple times, you'll see it's literally 4 nuts, 4 screws, 4 bolts. You bolt in the inverter, you bolt that to the battery bag, and you got electricity. How amazing is that, Connor?
It's really that easy.
And so now if you look here, we have the plug to the actual printer. Remember, this is not a mobile printer. This is a printer I've had in my office for literally years as a signing agent. So all you got to do is watch this. It's very difficult, okay?
Ta-da.
And we're in business. How easy is that? You have a full-on printer. Let's turn the battery on here. And you have a printer that works in the back of your car. And that's it. Battery turned on the printer, and you are now in business. You can print loan docs anywhere on the road, in front of your house. Like he says, he actually just keeps the printer in his car as opposed to his home office, and that's how easy it is. We're going to show you actually how to print loan docs directly from the mobile office in a moment, but that was just a tutorial on how to set up your very own mobile office using an external battery, not the car battery that's under your hood right now. The only step left to show you on this video is the recharging process of your external battery. Remember, the biggest con is the fact that you have to recharge your battery every single night. So how do you do it? Once again, this is what we got here. The link to this is in the Amazon link down below, but this is just an external charging capability. So I'm going to unbox this in real time with you here. It's very easy. This is literally taking it out of the box. Let me show you what comes in the box. So this is your battery charger. This gets plugged into any 110 outlet you have in your house. It's nothing fancy. You don't need a 220. It's just a 110 outlet, comes in anywhere. How you charge it is even simpler. So let me show you. So you set this up. This is plugged into your house, wherever that location is. You can even use an extension cord and just keep this in the back of your car if you wanted to, but this needs to be plugged in. Now, just like when Connor was showing you, it is literally easy to charge it. It is red to red. Very simple. Make sure that this metal touches the metal underneath. So you want to make sure you take that off of it. You want to turn the black touches the black, just like that. Very easy. Black on black, red on red. Now, looking at this, once again, we are on location in beautiful San Diego, but this would be plugged into your house electricity outlet. And then you're going to ask, you're going to turn it on. This will power up. It's going to give you 2 rate selections here. You want to use the second rate selection, 15A, and then hit reset start.
And on top of that, this is the battery we have linked. Is a AGM battery. So you would want to select not standard or gel, but AGM.
So just to wrap that up, you want to do AGM, you want to do 15, and then you want to hit start. keep this in over your car. If you remember from his engineering description in the beginning of the video, it is 6 hours because it's 15 amps divided by your 100. It's a 66-hour charge. And that is the ending of how to set up your mobile office using an external battery, not the internal battery in the hood of your car. And that is easy. And I know you're wondering next, how do you hook it up to the internal battery? We're going to show you that next now. Now I just showed you how to do a mobile office in the back of your trunk using an external battery. Let's talk about how you set up your mobile office using the battery that's actually in the hood of your car. Now, full disclaimer here, if anything we're about to show you is above your head, please hire a professional, but we're going to do it for a DIY approach. This also happens to be the biggest con of using the front of your car as the battery source, is because you have to have some technical skill of feeding wire through the trunk, from the hood into the cabin of the car. But with that being said, Connor is going to show you exactly how to do that. But before we get into that, let's talk about some simple costs. So the first thing you need is a long cable. So the inverter comes with a cable that leads to the battery. If you remember from the previous section of this video, that's about 12 inches long. You're going to need roughly a 20-foot cable that's going to go from this battery to the back of your car or wherever you want it located. And that's roughly $27 to $40 depending which one you get it. We'll give you a link for the one that we recommend. The number two thing you need, just like you needed on the back, is that inverter. The inverter is the exact same inverter that you would use for the external battery, which is $160. And then because you're running wire throughout your car, you're going to need some zip ties to make sure you get all your wires nice and clamped, and that's $7. So it will roughly cost you $200 plus or minus $5 to do a mobile office using the battery that's in your car. Now, this is substantially cheaper because you're not buying an external battery. Remember, the external battery is $160 to $165. That's an extra cost using the back. So a pro of using the hood, the battery inside your car is obviously cost. And then the second pro is you don't need to recharge it because your alternator is constantly recharging your battery. So that is the pro, is you don't need a recharger to recharge the battery because the battery is recharging itself. Now, that being said, kind of a con is your car has to be on whenever you're using your backup battery, you're using the printer, because the alternator is charging the battery, which is charging the printer itself. That has a little bit of gas cost. There's a little bit of external cost in that because you have gas. So once again, it's cheaper, way more technical skill, but Connor's going to show you step by step how to do it if you choose to do it. And I'm going to give one last disclaimer. If this is above your head, please hire a professional, hire someone in your family who happens to know cars, because this is way more techy. We have an engineer who is going to show you, but I'm excited to let you know we're going to show you now on this next segment how to do it step by step. So the very first step is finding where the hole is that can lead the wire from the inverter to the battery. Once again, this is a little techy, so the biggest and easiest way to find the hole that leads from the cabin to the trunk of the car, the hood of the car, excuse me, is by following the battery line. So remember, you see all this battery, this electricity has to reach the cabin of the car somehow. So there's holes on the back of this wall here. But the easiest way is to locate where these battery wires are going. So this Jeep has a really nice battery wire housing. So if you just follow this and follow this down, you will find the hole. Now, some cars will have housing holes already built in. So over here, if you look down in this direction, you'll see an actual hole that will allow you to bring anything from the engine back to the cabin of the car. Remember, this is why I don't necessarily recommend this way. It is cheaper, but it's a much more techy to do involved. So the first step is finding the holes where you can actually run the cables from the inverter to the battery. That is step number one. So step number two is actually installing these wires onto the inverter itself. Remember, the inverter came with those 12-inch wires. We have these 20-foot wires that we're going to connect from here to the inverter. The way you install them is just like what you saw in the previous segment. It is black to black, red to red, put on the nuts. Once again, we'll revisit the previous segment, but then once you have this installed to the inverter, it's then taking these wires, running it through your cabin, and you putting them through the hole that we just found in step number one. And now we're going to go to step number three. So step number 3 is taking that 20-foot wire and you're leading it from the trunk through your cabin and then through the hole that you found in step number 1, just like Connor's doing right now. And remember, this is why I believe that this is the harder of the 2 ways to set up your mobile office. Does it cost a couple more bucks to buy the external battery to set in your trunk of your car? Yes. But the technical skill that it takes to locate the battery, to run the wire through your cabin, through this hole, just like you're seeing on the video now, takes some technical skill. Remember, disclaimer, if you don't have this technical skill, hire somebody, have a family friend do it. But I want to show you the DIY approach of setting up a mobile office by using the battery that is in the hood of your car. So step number 4 now is connecting the cable that you pulled through the cabin of the car and connecting to the actual battery like Connor's going to do right now.
Sure. So you can see here we fed the wires through. All you got to do is grab hold of it. A safe place to route the wire is always going to be along the factory wiring harness, which is you can see right here above the engine and right against the firewall. So.
And remember, I can't tell you enough, there's some technical skill that's taken in this procedure. If you don't feel comfortable, please hire a professional to do this. He's running the cable from the inverter through the hole to the battery. This is where the inverter gets the electrical juice from.
And same with the negative. We're going to pull it through.
So just like when you connected the external charger battery to the inverter, the same thing happens here. The black goes to the black, the red goes to the red. Once you've pulled the cables through and across the engine itself, the next step would be to obviously connect the cables to the actual internal battery that you have in your car. Connor, take it away.
All right, pretty simple. So we have a positive and negative again. If you look at your battery terminals, you can see red wire, black wire coming off of them. They're also marked negative and positive here, so you know which goes where. So all battery terminals have at least a single nut that's used to tighten the battery terminals, and that's actually the nut I'm going to use to attach the wire to them. So
once again, while he's doing that, it's essentially the same project that we had on the previous segment. But while he's saying that, I can't tell you enough. Make sure you check your manufacturer's warranty. Make sure you talk with your car warranty to make sure that this is okay. Once again, we're trying to give you a DIY approach, but I got to make sure that you understand that of the 2 ways, this has some adjusting you do into the actual car itself. So check with your warranty, make sure this is okay, and make sure a professional is doing it if you don't feel comfortable. Remember, the pro to this is you don't ever need to recharge your battery. But if hauling in your battery every single is not that big of a deal, that is definitely the route to go. You don't need to run cables through your car cabin. You don't need to try to find the hole from the trunk, from the hood to the cabin itself. So as Connor has extreme technical skill because he's an engineer by trade. But if you're the layman like I am, it took me like 10 minutes just to try to get the hood popped up today. And so I would always recommend doing the trunk version of a mobile office. It is a cost of a battery more, but it leaves you way less, it creates way less headaches. So step number 5, the last step before you go hit the power on button on the inverter, because technically at this moment the whole mobile office is set up. But once again, this is all about making sure you do the safest way possible doing a DIY approach. So this is a hot engine. You just installed new wires around the engine. So you want to make sure you zip tie these to the barrier of the car so it's not touching the engine itself, just like Connor's going to demonstrate now.
if I could add in, you cannot stress it enough that these wires need to be protected. They're carrying 12 volts. They're having a lot of power flow through them. You don't want them touching any mechanical devices, objects in the car. You don't want them touching anything hot. We want to protect these, make sure that they don't get damaged in any way. So zip ties, we're going to start here. So we're going to use the car's factory wiring harness. So you can see this right here looks like a good place to start. We're just going to use the wiring harness to secure our power wires. So it's as easy as just slipping the zip tie through the harness, around the harness, and clamping our two wires together, just like that. It's really that easy. And I'm going to continue this process across the engine bay using our factory harness right here. So I have one more zip tie. So it's as simple as feeding the zip tie through, behind the wiring harness. I'm going to bend this zip tie a little bit so it feeds around a little bit easier. So the wiring harness is in a place that's predetermined by the car's engineers where it's safe to route wires. So this is, we know, a safe place to route our power wires.
So this is step number 5. This is the very last step. Once you're done zip tying, go in your trunk, hit the power inverter on, and print your loan documents. We just showed you step by step how to set up a mobile office, whether you use an external car battery or an internal car battery. Now there's one more setup I'm going to show you quickly. We're actually in the back of Connor's actual car where the whole idea came up and how he created his own mobile office. But there are some batteries that are actually located in the trunk of your car already, and Connor's going to walk you through his setup.
Sure. So it's really as simple as everything we've gone over before, with the exception of not having to feed the wires through the firewall of the car from the engine bay. So on a lot of cars, especially unique to BMWs and some other makes as well, is the battery is just right here under the floorboard of the trunk. So if I remove this, you can see it's the same inverter that we used, but I have my positive and negative battery terminals here. You can see the wires going to the inverter just like we discussed earlier, and they're just bolted on. So I have red bolted on to my positive battery terminal. Here's my battery terminal cover, and then this is my negative terminal and the negative inverter wire with the nut holding this on as well. So
the exact same setup we did
really
on
the
the
same
internal. The only thing was we didn't have to run a cable from the back to the front. We didn't have 5 firewalls. It was just literally the cables that came with the inverter. He just put down, so we didn't need to buy a 20-foot cable. He just used the cables that came with the inverter and plugged them straight down underneath the floorboard, and bada bing. So without further ado, you guys are like, how can you actually print docs mobile? So we're going to use a real signing agent's mobile printer, show you how he prints loan docs on the road, exactly what he has. I'm super excited. Once again, Connor, in his very first month of being a signing agent, did 30 loans, and he literally built this out of necessity because he was so busy being a part-time signing agent, making $3,000 in his first month. If he can do it, you can do it. So let's show you exactly what a real signing agent does and how he prints loan docs mobily. This is incredible. We're going to look inside of an actual mobile office of a part-time signing agent who does 30 signings a month. So we're going to show the exact supplies he has in his trunk to make sure that he's always capable of printing loan documents on the road. What's amazing, you have actual letter and legal size paper. And here you have binder clippers. You have FedEx envelopes when you do FedEx drops. He has folders to put the paperwork in that he's printing. He has extra toner in case he's on the road. He always has toner available. He has the inverter. He has the laptop, which I'm going to show you exactly how we do this in a moment. And then the actual brother printer that I recommend all signing agent. But this is awesome. This is what a mobile office looks like. This isn't a setup that we did. This isn't a mock setup. This is an actual signing agent who does 30 signings a month part-time. A loan signing system student I couldn't be more proud of. So why don't we walk them through exactly how you print loan docs mobily. So we're going to show you exactly how to print loan documents from your mobile office. The car is on because the car needs to power the inverter, and then now I'm going to take Connor, take it away.
Okay, so the car is on. Now all we need to do is our controller. Since we have power being supplied by the car's engine to the battery, I can turn the inverter on, hold the power button down. All right, looks good, inverter is on. Okay, printer just turned on. It's gonna warm up. So I just use a USB cord straight to my computer. And I use my mobile hotspot so I can download the docs for Wi-Fi. So
let's talk about this real quick.
Sure.
So while you're doing this, turn the hotspot on.
Sure. So I just have a mobile hotspot button on my phone. It's part of my data plan. So I have Wi-Fi now.
Okay, so what I want to talk about real quick is, we get some questions from the group is how come you're not printing mobily from your cell phone directly to the printer? Because that printer is Wi-Fi capable. So he's turning on the Wi-Fi on his phone so he can then get the docs from the computer, and as you know, you can obviously access your email from your phone. So explain to the viewers
Sure.
why you're not doing that.
So, although that is a feature that's usable, as signing agents, we have specific printing settings that we need to abide by. Right? We want to make sure that you have legal and letter sized being used correctly. We want to make sure that the other printings, like the documents, fit the page correctly. That auto continuing is set to off, etc. And it's just easy to control with your laptop, making sure that all of your settings are correct, so you know that the docs are going to come out correctly.
And I think it's very important what he's trying to say, because he's a loan signing system student. He's diligent about making sure that everything's printed correctly, whether that's on letter or legal, making sure that the scans come over correctly. So on his computer, he can flip through the documents before he prints them to make sure they're there. He can set his legal letter trays going on according to PDF size. So having a laptop gives you more control. So as the teacher and mentor to thousands of signing agents out there, I would never recommend printing loan docs directly from your cell phone. Use your cell phone as a hotspot connected to your laptop so you can control your printing settings. Continue from here.
We've turned the hotspot on. It looks like my computer has paired with my phone. I have Wi-Fi, perfect, so I just need to download the docs. They have downloaded, and make sure my computer is connected to the printer via USB. The printer is on, and so I'm going to confirm my print settings. Everything looks good. I've got legal and the letter size paper in there. Great.
And just like you're at home, he sends it from the computer to the printer and a mobile office from the back of your car. This is an absolute game changer. Imagine being able to be on the road and printing in real time whenever you need a help escrow out, or if you're a signing agent working for signing services and you get emails directly to your phone, directly to the computer, directly to the back of your car. I hope this helped bring immense value to your signing agent business. I'm Mark. I teach a loan signing system. If you like this video, hit like. And of course, if you have any questions about this setup, any questions at all about growing your loan signing agent business, don't hesitate to comment below. And remember, links to all the products and things that we've used throughout this video is in the description below.